Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to your Sunday tonic, your Sunday spice. It is conversation with the Love Crusader, and we are super excited to be bringing you another edition today. Um, if you were able to join us last week or you watched the connected with us for last week, you know we are discussing a topic that is very, very dear to my heart and a very, very important one in this generation that we're in now. If you're connecting with us for the first time, this is Conversation with the Love Crusader, and it airs every Sunday at 6 p.m. It is on YouTube at Men Fences TV. On Facebook, it's at Men Fences. And on LinkedIn, it is my personal profile at Oko Joseph Obayeje Comfort. Please share, tell your friends, and subscribe so you would not miss any episode of this wonderful it's conversation. So we have gist, we have fun, we laugh while sharing nuggets and um truths that we can use to learn about life. So last week we started talking about love and parenting. We had a mother and a grandmother
Network.
in the house last
Network.
week,
Why you connect?
along with my husband and my co-host Titi. Today, I have another wonderful mother and her husband. So it's a husband
Having trouble in this
and a wife today. Um,
still
it is father and mother
closer
coming
to
in today to
connect.
tell us about parenting. So, um, before I introduce my guest, I will want to repeat again that you should please share, invite your friends, because you don't want to miss the lessons and the nuggets that will be coming out of today's conversation. It promises to be an exciting one. Okay, my guest is a couple that is well known to me. Um, very soon when we start talking you understand. Last week when we were talking about parenting, we said it takes a village, and this mommy is one of my village. You understand what I mean? One of those mommies who joined my mother in bringing us up. Her husband is my uncle, and she is a mother, a pastor, a friend. I love her spirit because she is very, very young at heart. She's also by training a teacher. So when we are talking about children, upbringing, discipline, training, you know that we have the right person. And in case you do not know, let me make it very clear. They are also grandparents. Our daddy is called an elder, so he's coming here full of wisdom and experience of what it means to bring up children. Elder Francis and Pastor Mrs. Courage Noble, welcome to Conversation with the Love Crusader. Do you want to say hello to the people?
You're supposed to own our mic. Mm-hmm.
I can hear you. Go on. Say hello to the people. Hello, ma. Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello.
Something else.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Looks like your network is delaying you. Can you hear me? Can you confirm that you can hear me? Wow. Okay, all right. I think they might have to refresh their connection because we can't hear them. If you can hear me, can you just refresh your connection? Because we cannot hear you. If you're speaking, we can't hear you. Hello? All right, we're talking about love and parenting and talking about discipline. Can you hear me now? Mama Courage, can you hear me now? Hello? Can you speak so that I can hear you? Hello? Is it that they can't hear me? Can you hear me, Mama? Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Can
Are
you
you
hear
hear
me?
us? I can't hear you.
I can hear Mama now. Mama, can you say that hello again? So you obviously can't hear me. And I'm wondering why. We were just conversing before we went live. Maybe just click on the link and come back again if you can hear
Let me
me.
use this one.
Mm-hmm.
Try and come back again.
Listen, look, yes.
But I can hear you though. I don't know what's the miscommunication. Anyways, all right. So, like I said, we're talking about love and parenting, and this is the part two. Last week, we began the conversation talking about parenting, parenthood, and um, the discipline of children.
That's all.
Um, we talked about favoritism in the family. If it was possible for parents to be able to love all their children equally. Um, we mentioned and tried to talk about the difference between discipline and punishment, and I think that was where we hung our boot last week. We couldn't really deal with that much because we were short of time. Um, so I would love to begin to pick from there
I've
today if my guests can hear me.
it's
Hello? Okay. So it looks like my guests can't hear me. I
not
wonder why.
okay.
Hello?
All right. So, my guests will try to rejoin us. Apologies for the network issues. We're just gisting right now, so I don't know what happened. Um, we'll try to fix it and get them back with us. Meanwhile, I'll just do a quick recap of what we talked about last week. So, firstly, we said that love, um, parenting ends or can end, but parenthood does not end. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, my co host. Dr. Sabo is here. I'm waiting for my guests to rejoin because it looks like we're having
Technical
network
issues.
issues. Yeah, technical issues. They were not hearing me. We were we were gisting just before we went live, and then looks like we lost communication somewhere. So hopefully they can rejoin the conversation. But welcome. I'm happy to see you at least. Now I'm not talking to myself alone. So
Absolutely happy to be
a
here.
recap of what we said last week and try to build a foundation from there. We talked about the fact that parenting may end, but parenthood never ends. And it was a big analysis trying to let us know that being a parent for over your children cannot really end. And grandmother was here last week, did the analogy for us to the point of, oh, even when these children marry, they leave the house, you're still kind of involved in their life. Excuse me, especially maybe as a mother, the children give birth, you go there to take care of the new babies. It's like it's a continuous thing and continuous things. You still worry over the grandchildren, you still want to train and discipline grandchildren as a grandmother. So it's like a never ending cycle of parenthood. It's a forever life calling. That was one of the things that was established last week, to say parenthood is a lifetime. Do you agree with that, Ima? First of all, let's start from
Yes, to a very large extent, I agree that um, if we see parenting or parenthood as a ministry, as a responsibility and a stewardship that has been given by God, then it really doesn't end. It's up until that parent goes to heaven, pretty much. So I do agree with that from that perspective. But we need to be careful that parenthood doesn't become trying to quote unquote parent people or treat your adult children as though they're still young children. There's a tendency for parents to do that. So there's a
okay.
difference.
We're coming to that. It's one of the questions I have today, because every time, in the course of my research, when you talk about parenting, or I try to Google parenting, research about parenting, you always talk about parenting kids. So I was going to ask today to say, when do we stop parenting? Hello, Mama. Can you put hear me now? If you
Ah,
can you
now,
say,
by grace, we can hear you now.
oh, great. Welcome
Huh?
back. So first of all,
I
say
can hear
hello to
you.
our guest. I was introducing people before people went up. Elder Francis and
Oh,
Pastor Courage are in the house,
Yeah,
everyone. Say
I
hello
can
to
hear you.
them. Welcome to the platform. I've been looking forward to bringing my uncle, because mommy has come here before.
Hello.
I've been looking forward to bring my uncle, my ever young elder. My husband calls him the ever young elder.
yeah, okay.
Grandfather that looks like he's 16.
It's good
Okay,
to
say
be
hello to
here.
the people. Say hello to the people before we continue the conversation. Do you want to say hello to the people?
Hello. Good to be here.
Welcome,
Thank you.
sir.
God bless all of you. We are happy to be here today to share in this vision. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mama. Okay, so let's jump right into it. I was already laying a foundation to as to one of our questions for today, talking about the fact that parenting. So last week,
Mm.
Mama told us that parenting ends, but parenthood does not end. She and Reverend Oko really stressed that point, to say that you are a parent until the day you die. You will still be a parent. It's until
Yes.
these children grow, even when they leave, you are still parenting them, or you are still a parenthood continues. I don't want to say parenting them, but the difference I want to try to now bring up is, every time we try to do a research
Mm.
about parenting, it always talks about parenting kids, When do these people stop being kings? Where does parenting stop? Because sometimes it looks like it becomes interference. At what point do we now say, okay, they are adults, we can only maybe guide and pray for them, like they were saying last week, that I guess the point where you now guide and pray for them. At what point do we get there so that people can know the difference? We don't want how will I call it now? Mothers who will not allow the children grow, or daddies who will not allow the children grow, who are forever seeing them as babies. So, at what age do we stop parenting and just move into parenthood? That's the question.
At first is okay. Um, by the time the child finishes university, or maybe when he enters university, that he's no longer with the parents. Most times, he's on his own now, maybe the campus or living outside the home. So your parenting is only, you are just extending those love to him wherever he or she is. You are no longer waking up to go and check on him in the night. You are no longer seeing cooking and keeping for him to eat. You are no longer checking whether his room is arranged or not. He's
Hello, ma. Okay, Emmy, what do you think? What do you think? You heard what she said. When the child is grown, has left, has gone to university. What if the child is going to university from the house?
That is, or what if the university is right in at the backyard in terms of location, and the child
So,
is going there directly from home? So that physical separation is an easy landmark to say, okay, when you're physically separated, I mean, you're limited in what you can do. The most you can call over the phone, right? So I understand that aspect, but there are situations where that physical separation is not necessarily happen. But even then, there has to be that it's more of a mental spacing that now happens, keeping it in mind. Okay, this person that was a child is now an adult. He or she has capacities to make decisions. I have to allow him or her to make good and bad decisions, because that, I think, the bad decision, preventing kids from making bad decision, is really where the whole parenting comes in. You must do it this way, and parents become overbearing. So allowing them to make decisions, serving as a counselor, taking a position of, if you need me, I'm right here to provide counsel. But I'm not just going to jump in at every stage of your life trying to solve every problem. I want you to be able to take initiative. I want you to be able to become independent, even when they are in the house, or they're going from home to work or from home to school, encouraging that independence in decision making, because it's only a matter of time before that person is going to have to leave the house, right? So the person would have already known how to make good decisions. The person would have already learned how to manage, the consequences of bad decisions also. So that's what I would say in terms of recommendations.
all right, Mama, are you there now? You were talking about the children growing up, going to school, leaving the house. You want to continue? Hello, ma. Yeah, so we're really, really having technical issues with their network. Very, very unfortunately, because I know that there's a wealth of wisdom that we are going to gain. Let me still have hope that we'll gain the wisdom from this couple today, having trained three grown-up children, um two graduates and one medical doctor on the line. They are really in the best position to share with us nuggets about how they've been able to bring up their children. And yes, I agree with you, Amy. It's not just about physically leaving the house. Physically leaving the house makes it a little easier. But what if they are staying in the house? I mean, I know some people, maybe especially talking about Nigeria, um somebody goes to university, finishes school, comes back home, and no job yet to stand on their own, on their 2 feet and all that stuff. And maybe while still trying to transition into living on their own and getting a job, they are living in your house with you. How do you avoid the situation where you now remember that this is the baby I had some 24, 25 years ago, and be tempted to steal, like Mommy Onobu said, go into their room and help them to arrange things, or go through their properties like some parents will do, go through their bag, go through their things. How do you give them privacy and stuff like that? How do you go about it when they are already adults but they're still with you in the house?
Quite challenging.
Mm.
What I would say is from the get go, set ground rules. I think that's one thing that helps a lot in that situation. And funny enough, that situation is very, very common in our day and age with the economic climate all over the world. And people not getting married as early as they used to back in the day. So it's quite common to have adults that are still living in their parents' houses right now. The important thing is set ground rules from the get go. This is what you should expect as we live in this house. This is what I will do. This is what I will not do as a parent. And that person have a conversation, and the adult will tell you what they expect also. So when people do that, oftentimes to parents it may seem a bit like I'm the parent. Why would I have that conversation? Like it's weird. But the truth is, you are empowering that adult to still continue to be responsible, continue to make decisions concerning their life, regardless of the fact that they are, physically still in your house. And it minimizes potential for conflict where parents are just not happy or the children are not happy and issues come up. So I think having an open conversations in terms of what expectations are from the get go in that situation will be very, very helpful.
Okay, Mama, can you hear me now? You back?
Yes, yes, I
I hear
can.
you.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. That sounds much better. Okay,
Mm,
so you were saying when
yes.
they grow and leave the house, maybe go to university and all that. And we were now asking as a follow-up to say, what if they grow and they're in your house? Maybe there's circumstance, there's a reason why as adults they're in your house. Maybe they're transitioning into a new job, or they're not married yet, they're not living on their own yet, and as adults they have the opportunity to now live with you. How do you handle parenting at that stage?
Oh, that is, they are grown now. They are supposed to be on their own, and yet they are not still on their own.
Mm-hmm. Yes, maybe due to one,
Banking
for
on
example,
opening
somebody is
door
looking for a
anyhow.
job. You have
Before you
graduated
enter
from
their
school,
room
you
this
are still
time
looking
around,
for
you
a
need to
job.
know. Eh?
I said,
I can't hear you well.
for example, the child has graduated from school but still looking for a job, so they are now still in the parents house while waiting to get a job. They are gone again. Network is really, really bad where they are. Okay, all right. I want to pick you up on one thing, Emmy. You said to allow children make good and bad decisions. I thought the essence of parenting was to be able to avoid our children making bad decisions in the first place.
Can I don't think we can truly prevent adults from making bad decisions. We
Right?
can, because once someone is an adult, they will make decisions about any and everything relating to their life. See, this is why it's important that they are raised. When the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. And then the same Bible says, when he is old. So the Bible places a distinction between when somebody is a child, they need training. When somebody is old, he says they will not depart from it. They are now at the point where they are making decisions on whether or not to stick with what they've been trained to do. So there's an assurance there that if you've laid a good foundation in raising your children in the way that pleases God, if you've made effort in raising your children to know how to make good decisions, then they will make fewer mistakes. But to say they will not make any mistake at all is a very unrealistic expectation. But the important thing as a parent at the stage where you're now dealing with adults is I want to be there to serve as a counselor. I want to be there to serve as a resource, a wealth of wisdom and experience for my children when they are going through whatever it is they are going through at whatever stage of their life. But I cannot be the one making the decisions for them, when they are now full blown adults.
Okay, I'm still going to pick a question from your answer. you know, when you say the Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. Is it a black and white situation? Is it really um, a give and take to say, once I have trained my children in the way of the Lord, they will not depart from it? Because I mean, we have children who they were taken to church, they were disciplined, and they did all the training. All the training was done when they were growing up, but somehow they kind of still deviated from the way as they grew up. So is it really a black and white situation to say they would really not depart from it?
It is not a black and white situation because again, you're dealing with people or adults making decisions over their lives. And at the end of the day, each individual is going to have responsibility for the choices that they make and live out the consequence of those choices. So you cannot say, and I don't think there's any adult, where even the parents themselves, I don't think they can boldly say they've never made mistakes in life, right? But what the scripture says by saying train up a child in the way it should go is you would have filled the child with wisdom and appropriate boundaries such that as the child grows they already know how to make good decisions. See, it's a skill to know how to make good decisions. It's a skill to be able to pause and evaluate situation and determine what is the best line of action, and that skill is taught when somebody is a child. But when the person have grown up as an adult, then you can no longer say, well, this person will never make a bad decision. But you trust that it will be minimized in terms of the amount of bad decisions they will make, and hopefully not dabble into decisions that would have severe life consequences. At the end of the day, you just need to pray for your adult children. Keep praying for them, keep talking with them, keep encouraging them. But outside of that, there is not much else you should be. You cannot go to their homes, even if they live close to you, and insist on this is how your family should be run. You don't know what you're doing and all stuff like that. That would be inappropriate.
All right, all right. If you're going to use two devices, then you have to stay a little far from each other, and also one person mute when you are not talking, because if not, you keep hearing the echo. I'm hearing the echo of the both of you now. All right, but can you hear us better now?
Yes, we are.
Oh,
We are
great.
good.
So let's go on. We're talking about parenting children when they're already grown. Go on, Mama.
Parents, when they're already grown, you are building on what the family have laid for. There are things you have them that they must now is part and parcel of them. So as an adult, your own is just to guide them, to make sure that those things are still in them. At this time now, you are not going to be flogging them, scolding them.
Is flog is still allowed?
Uh-huh.
Flogging.
Like a graduate, you cannot start flogging a graduate, but you will just make mention of things that they're supposed to know. This is how we do it. This is how you're supposed to do it. When the child is trying to maybe play away from what he has been taught, with correction, you correct that child. With love, you correct that child. Remember the trust. You have already built trust in them. Sing it again to them. This is what you are supposed to do. And when the child is trying to get annoyed, At that stage, they're always close. If you don't handle them well, they get frustrated. A child who is a graduate, who is supposed to be on his own or her own, by now is still living with you. You handle them as fragile as it is, so that you don't drive the child away, so that you don't make the child to be regretting his life, so that you don't make the child feel neglected or not accepted. So what you do is call that child, as usual, negotiate. If the child is doing something you don't know, you don't like, call him to order, negotiate, tell him this is what you are doing that is not right, and you don't shout at that time. You pray with that child, because that child is going through some social problem, like a child that is supposed to be working that is not working. So as a parent, you pray with him, pray for him, and let him know that there is nothing God cannot do. You are the best person. Show love, show the emotions, show that you care. Their interest, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. You should also have interest in whatever their problem is. By so doing, that parenting will be smooth until you launch them out totally. Let them feel that love. Don't let them feel rejected as they are living with you.
Okay. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Mama. I want Daddy to say something about this. Um, because most cases, it looks like when you talk about negotiation and discussion with these children of this age that we're talking about, um, it is mothers who are negotiating. Daddies are always hot, hot in handling those children. How how do fathers relate with children who are already adults, and in parenting them? Because this is where many lose it. They even lose the relationship with their fathers. They become enemies.
Like I was correctly, you have to because you can look at this when they not too hot, because this is a jet age. The are now, the children are far ahead of us. Like when it was those days when you can see, you must do this and you must do that. But what they feel me to do, you cut that level. Let them know why it's necessary to do something and why you should be able to move ahead. Like a guy that has any soul is not working. I should say with you. It is the duty of the parent that child. There are things you can do apart from your prayer. Maybe you read mass or whatever. You can be interested in them. Then do another skill that will make that will help them in the future. So if I had one, so they closer to you, especially the one. Then do the why as a child, you need to depend on your attitude, because this basically does not really help. So you have to know the reason why they do other things. Like if I take my case, for example, I knew I finished my capture, I didn't got a job on that. But in others, parents didn't learn from what you told them. I did other things to survive. All I came. Yes, I didn't leave my position alone. I had to look for course and qualify. That
Now, some things that would really benefit us, but you're breaking and we can't
as
really
I tell you,
hear.
things that will make you to be a man. You must sacrifice.
Mm. Okay. I picked him saying come down to their level, support them, give them the necessary support at that stage in life. This is a jet age. It's not the way we were handling children in those days that we handle them now. Okay, so let's move on because there's a lot to talk about and the time is already running.
If I
Um,
may, if I may add to that, Mama C, in
yes,
terms of
yes.
fathers specifically, especially African fathers, to be precise.
Exactly.
Um, I think the biggest challenge of most African fathers is from the get-go, when the children, when they are, really young children, there is a lack of relationship based on open communication. So it becomes difficult to leverage something that was not there. If a seed is not sown, what are you going to harvest? So when the children are now grown, you don't have a premise or a basis for common dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a premise for common dialogue, how do you exchange ideas? It now become a case of most African fathers insisting on rules, trying to still yell or put rules down as if they are talking to 3 year olds or 4 year olds. Meanwhile, they are talking to 30 something year old children. Now, not to say they are no longer their children because they are in their 30s or even late 20s or 40s, but the communication has to change. And a lot of fathers do not make that transition. Of course, it's difficult to make the transition if they've not invested themselves in the family in the beginning to have communication with their children. It's something that even I, as a father, I am learning now to start creating opportunity for dialogue, even if the child is saying total rubbish. Have an opportunity for your child to feel okay to express themselves to you, because eventually that communication link will be all that is left when they have left home, and it will be the only channel through which you can influence the decisions they are making positively. So I just wanted to add that part to it for young parents like myself. It has to start now, creating atmospheres in the home where your children are very okay speaking with you, and when they grow up with that kind of training, in the future, even if they are physically present or they are distant from you, you'll find it's a lot easier for you to rub minds, for you to exchange ideas, for you to teach them or give them experiences that about certain circumstances they are facing. I just wanted to add that part to it too.
I think another challenge, especially like we were saying with African parents, is because sometimes it looks like the daddy is the disciplinarian. You know how our mothers in those days used to say, until your father comes. So when the child offends, the mother will be like, "Oh, okay, wait until your daddy comes." So it looks like daddy is the monster. Daddy is the one to be feared. Daddy is the. You get what we're trying to say? So it kind of builds a fearful. I'm speaking at least from my own experience, a fearful kind of relationship instead of a friendship kind of thing with fathers and children. I'd like daddy to comment on that if he can still speak. How do you build a relationship? Because Emmy is saying build a relationship with them when they are young. How do you build a relationship when you as a father is the one that is seen as the one who is going to come and do the flogging? Mommy will say, wait until your daddy comes, and then these children begin to see that that is the wicked one. That is one who is doing all the flogging, that is doing all the beating and all the punishment. So daddy must be the mean person. So how do you build a relationship with them at that age? I mean, when they are young, that's what we are talking about. Did you get my question, daddy? Can you hear me?
Is it mommy?
Hello. Yeah, if
Yes.
I
Yes.
can hear if I can hear you clearly, the question is when the father is not around and the child misbehaves, is that not? And they
Yes.
will say, okay, wait until your father comes. How does the
Yes.
father build a relationship with the child? Is that the question?
Because the child is seeing the
Yeah, if
father
that
as
is
the
the
wicked person.
question, I think as a father, because an African man, an African woman will always say, okay, let the father come, especially when the child misbehaves. An African man will always come and ensure that after listening to the wife, the next thing is to tell the child, come and discipline the child. That is if the child is strong. But there
Yeah.
is one thing in our adage too, that when you beat a child with the right hand, you bring him close with the left hand. The duty of the father as a disciplinary man is to ensure that he tells the child the truth, the mistake he has made, why he was punished. And at the end of the day, bring the child closer and let it know the effect of why, if he was left alone, what will happen to him in the future, why the father decided to discipline him. You know, the Bible also said that when you fear the rod, you will spoil the child. An African man will decide to be strict with the son or with the daughter, especially when they go wrong. But that does not mean you will not bring them closer. At the end of the day, you should be able to have a close time to call them one-on-one and discuss with them. Let them know why you discipline them. And once that relationship is built between you and your child, there will be a mutual relationship between two of them.
Thank you, sir. Last week it was really stressed about the importance of a conversation, even when discipline has been melted out, whatever the form of discipline. And we try to say that there's a difference between discipline and punishment. The aim is not to punish. The aim is actually to discipline and correct, to train, not really
Yeah.
punish. So, but like, if you don't have that conversation at the end of it all, the child just feels okay. Someone has just bullied me, or I've just been assaulted. Sometimes they don't understand. And so that was one of the keys we were giving when it comes to discipline. Um, when it comes to discipline of our children. Okay, so one question I would like to ask is, when can we say that we are successful as a parent? When can I say I am a successful parent? Is it when my child has been able to graduate from school? What if I have a child that refuses to go to school? Is it when they are now married and they're in their husband's houses? What if I have a child that is 50 and not married? Or a child that chooses singlehood and say, look, marriage is not for me. After all, it's a choice. At what stage, what do we use to measure success in parenting? I will allow our guest speak, then I'll come to my co-host.
Okay.
You said,
How
please,
do
can you
you
come
measure
again?
success of a parent? When do you say, oh, look, these people are successful parents, they have been able to parent their children successfully? What do we use to
Mm.
measure it? Is it because the child has gone to school and graduated? Oh, they were able to train all their children? Or all their children are married? What do we use to measure and say, look, this is a successful parent? That's the question.
Um, Number one is what has been instilled in those children. When you see it is being manifested positively, you know that that parent have succeeded. That is, he has good success in training the children. Like now, as let's say a pastor training children, having congregation, preaching, and you see the children also taking to it, I think there's a success there. He has succeeded. But when you see a child of a pastor maybe becoming a native doctor or becoming an atheist, we say there is no God. To me, there is no success there. When if it is like in marriage, if you are able to train your children and all of them are able to get married as at when due, you have it's part of success. And when you train children and they get good job, it's success. Because all these things, it is what the foundation you have laid in them. When you teach, when you admonish, when you do exhortation for these children, and as they grow up into adulthood, you see them, maybe they have even gotten children, they are also parenting their children in such like the way they were being brought up, at least you've succeeded as a parent.
Hmm. Oh wow.
Yes.
There's a lot of questions from that response, Mama, because I'm looking
Okay.
at it and saying, um, doesn't that put a heavy burden on the parents? Because like I was saying to Emmy when your network was not so great, sometimes you train these children, you have done all that you're supposed to
Mm.
do, you have prayed and everything, and they choose a different path in life. So would we say that you are an unsuccessful parent because of that? I'll give you an example. Maybe a child that comes and say, look, I don't want to be married. I don't think marriage is for me. And the Bible said that some people choose to be eunuch. So does that mean that the parent is an
Mm-hmm.
unsuccessful parent because this child say, I don't want to be married, or I don't want to live a life of marriage? Or they just are unfortunate that they've not been able to keep a relationship. So the girl is 40, she's not married. Is that a fault of the parent? Something like that. That's
No,
what.
no, no. If I may come in,
Yes,
I
sir.
know of a family. I know of a family. The man is a doctor, a PhD holder, and the first son is a medical doctor based in the United States, and he's about 56 years old. As I speak, he's not married. But that does not make the man not to be successful because the man has worked and retired as a director. But the truth is that as a parent, it does not give joy to that man. As at 56 years old, the son is not married. But we can use that to measure the success of the parents. You understand what I'm trying to say? It does not really affect the success of the parents. Like you said some of these young boys of these days, it's a matter of choice. Some can decide not to marry. Some can say, well, I don't want to marry. What is about getting married? But I think when a man says, I am fulfilled in life, it is when he sees that his children is following in footsteps. They have graduated from school, they got a good job, and when it is due to marry, and they get married, and the man will
What if
be
they don't want
happy.
to go to school, daddy?
So that
What if a child say, for example, I don't want to go to school? You're talking about graduating from school. I don't want to go to school. I want to learn tailor.
mhm.
Or I don't want to go to school. I want to be a carpentry. I want to do carpentry and joinery. I don't want to go to school. I want to become a musician. Like we're having a lot of them these days. Young people telling you that school is a scam because people go to school, graduate, come out, no job. But the person who is maybe singing one album and he's lucky and he blow, he becomes a millionaire overnight. So they are like, okay, so what is the essence of this school thing we're talking about? So what if the child say, I don't want to go to school? Is it a failure on the part of the parents? Have they failed as parents?
No, it's not a failure on the part of the parent because I think the duty of a parent is to assist the children.
These networks, don't try me again. Oh. Eh? It was so stable for a while now and then looks like it's gone again. All right, Emmy, you want to jump in?
Yes. Okay. So it's very difficult to put in parameters that would help to define, what successful parenting is.
Hmm.
Because as you've seen from your dialogue with that, if you come up with one criteria, it opens the door for other criteria. One general criteria I'd like to use is if the child is now a grown and integrated responsible adult. Now
Break
I
it
use
down,
the word,
please.
yes, I use integrated to mean this person is a responsible part of the community, part of the society. So this person is not breaking the law. It's not he or she is not in jail. They may be making choices that are 100% different from the choices the parents made. For example, just because my parents are, pastors doesn't mean I have to be a pastor, or just because your parents are, very highly educated people doesn't mean the children will be highly educated. But is that child a responsible part of society? Whether they are singing, playing sport, whatever it is, whatever choices they make, are those choices a responsible part of society? is the way I see successful parenting. Having invested, are your children making good choices? Whatever path they choose to take, are they making good choices in that path? Would mean that you have invested in them the capacity to make good choices. You've invested in them the capacity to be hardworking, responsible, and if they are exhibiting that, then you have been successful as a parent. Now, they may choose, for example, they may be born into a Christian home, may absolutely choose to walk away from all the Christian values they've received, but at the same time, they are responsible part of society. They are philanthropists. They are successful in other aspects. It doesn't mean you've failed as a parent. Of course, the ideal would be for them to follow the ways of your faith, as but it doesn't mean that they must. But are they a responsible part of society? If the answer is yes, then I think to a very large extent that parents can say they have been successful in doing their duties as parents.
Mm. That's a very excellent way, I think, of breaking it down, um, and taking the load off the shoulders of parents. Because I kind of believe that there are a lot of parents who are weighing themselves down with the burden of my children have to be perfect. So
Hmm.
they have to follow my footsteps. I mean, you see sometimes, especially like on social media, parents boasting, "Oh, we are now third generation of lawyers." So the grandfather was a lawyer, the father is a lawyer, then the children are now lawyers, and some people feel like, "Oh, okay, so I'm a lawyer, but my child is doing music, so my child has failed." So, Daddy, you were speaking before you went off air, talking about the success. How do we say you are a successful parent?
Yeah. I was saying that, okay, can you hear me? Like I was saying, you measure the success of a parent if the child or the child not or one not I think is what yes we can use to say that man is the parents are not successful. But I think one of the best
We can't hear you,
way
Daddy.
to measure whether the parents okay, I said you
We
cannot
cannot
learn
hear you. It's breaking.
as a music. Okay, break it. I said, because a child don't marry, and you say is that the parents were not successful in training or bring up child. There are some children grow this and child is supposed to get married, will say no. You have to have choice and not mine. So what do you do? But parents always encourage them. That's why they are successful. And the other question I was trying to talk about is if a child to say I'm going to school, I want to learn a trade, I want to be a I want to be a carpenter, I will do this. I think the duty of the parent is support. Support the dream of your child. You know whether that child thing. You need to support the child's dream. Just some of these people that didn't go to university, support them. And today they're doing very well in the music. A good example is the musician they call. Well, when he said he wants to become a musician, first went to a music school. And he's doing well. I will encourage parents. When your child said, "Oh, I'm going to school, I want to become this, I want to become that," you like parents look at it and support the dream.
Okay. It was cracking most of the time, but I think I can pick what you were trying to say. Supporting your children and their dreams. So not insisting that, oh, they must be a certain way. If the child say, I want to be this, support them, guide them in that area. In fact, I think one of the success of parenthood is the ability to identify early what your child is good at, what your child can do, and then help groom that child in that area. Because there's always the mentality for some people that, okay, everybody has to be a doctor. Everybody, I don't know, Emmy, you remember now when we were in school? You were either a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, or yeah, doctor, engineer,
Accountant.
eh?
Accountant is the last one.
Accountant, thank you. The four. The rest of them did not go to school as far as we are all concerned. In fact, the worst is when you get up and say you want to be a teacher, the whole class will be laughing at you because it's as if you have chosen a life of poverty. Teachers are always ridiculed. Meanwhile, teachers are the ones teaching everyone and teaching the doctors and the nurses and all. But we're just saying, as a parent, one of the ways that we can succeed and truly succeed as parents is to identify early. Identify early. What is that thing that my child can do? And, you know, encourage the child. I know a parent that from when the boy was very, very young, maybe as young as 3, 4, they go to visit his grandparents because his own parents didn't even have computers in the house. They go to visit his grandparents, and when grandchildren are around, grandparents are giving them biscuits, sweets, and all. This boy goes straight to sit with a computer and starts fiddling with the computer. Oh, go away from there. Sometimes he say, oh, they are saying, go away, don't spoil it, blah, blah, blah. But at the point, everyone's okay. This boy's always in. The parents had to buy a computer at home. And this boy would always close from school, drop his bag, not remove his uniform, sometimes not eat. He's going straight to that computer. Today, the boy is a graduate of computer science and doing a lot of things in IT. It is something that was, would I say, inborn now from when this child was young. The parents started sending him on courses, go and do this course, go and do this course, in addition to his schooling and his normal education, just to be able to groom his IT skills. So I'm trying to say it's our duty as parents to be able to identify that thing that your child, don't insist, so it must be this way, it must be that way, because that is where we miss it. You force the child into um a lifestyle that they are not happy with. Okay, my last question, because my time is up, I still have some things I would have loved us to discuss here. The boys versus girls debate. Do we train a girl the way we train a boy? Should we train a boy the way we train a girl? One major area: domestic work. So, especially in Africa, you have the girl child, oh, always in the kitchen with the mother. Oh, she's learning to cook, she's learning to keep a home, she's learning to clean, she's learning to do laundry, she's, all of those stuff. And the boy maybe sitting with his father watching TV because he's a boy. So, how do we bring up boys and girls? Should it be different the way we bring up boys and girls? You have both boys and girls, daddy and mommy. Tell us. Do we bring them up in the same way, or should it be different? This is my last point of conversation tonight. Okay, they are muted. Can you hear me? Come on. Hello? Apparently. So, Emmy, it's up to you again. You don't have a daughter yet, hopefully. But you can tell us, are we going to bring up boys the way we bring up girls? Should it be the same?
Well, the simple answer for the sake of time is yes. And that's my opinion or position. It should be the same in terms of the kind of love. It should be the same in terms of the kind of chores they do. Because we are now living in an era where there are really no restrictions on ladies being able to take on any role in the corporate world. So, and also there are no restrictions in our day and age to men being responsible domestically. So we must think from the perspective of where things are. Now, if we were living in a society where things still are, men are the ones working, women stay at home with the kids, it makes sense for a woman to be trained to do domestic chores, to know how to handle that domestic responsibility. And it makes sense to train a man to know how to work, right? Go to work and all that stuff. We're not dealing with that. We're not in that age anymore. So it would be a disservice to your child for you to only train your child to be good at maybe a certain area because you perceive, for example, where she's a girl, she's only going to, you know, take care of domestic chores and family things. That would be a disservice to that girl because these days girls have the potential to do way more than just be home, home
Keepers.
carers. Yeah, home keepers. They can do way more than that. And in the same vein, if you raise a son that cannot handle domestic responsibilities, you're setting him up for a difficult marriage in today's day and age. Because if if except maybe I don't know who he's going to be married to, from what, that he will not have any kind of domestic responsibilities. At some point he will, because things are changing. So if you're raising your children together equally, you are empowering them to be able to handle all aspects of life, and I don't see the downside of that. I think it's all good if that's done that way.
Yeah. I remember that growing up, that's how we were all trained. We had that timetable on the wall in the kitchen for when everyone washes plates, when is this one's turn to cook and everything. And that's why my brothers can cook. Um, I also remember that our last born, one day he told my dad, "Oh, I'm not doing the dishes. It's a woman's job." And daddy said, "Oh, really? Come here. Come and give me 10 differences between a woman and a man. If you are able to give me 10 differences between a woman and a man, then henceforth you will never do anything that has to do with the kitchen." And he failed woefully, couldn't even give three. That's how he went back to kitchen duties. So, daddy and mom, if you can still talk, this is our last point. We're asking whether we should train boys the same way we train girls, or should the training be different?
Yes, yes, thank you. Good one. We don't train the best way we train girls because emphasis has made too much on training girls. Forgetting that this boy, our guys are going to marry them, and when it takes two to know, when one is trained and the other one is not trained, there's bound to be else. So it's good to train the two equally because that's how we were brought up. That's how I was brought up. What my brother will do, I will do it. What I can do, they will do it in my own family. They don't have work for girls, work for girls. And then, if you must see moral, you are instilling girls, also instilling in the boys because it takes you to tango. It is said this one is learned, this one is moral, the other one is moral. The one will sit up. But if one is moral and the other one is not to.
Okay, all right. We're coming to the end of the program. Apologies, viewers. The network has really not been friendly with our guests today. Um, but on some final notes, I saw something one time online, and it says that marriage is not a training ground for bad behaved boys. Sometimes, especially in Africa, especially in Africa, there's the tendency to focus more on the girl. Oh, she should be a good wife. Oh, she should be a good housekeeper. Oh, she should be a good mother. And we make the mistake of forgetting that if we do not train the boys equally, then you give a bad behaved boy to a good behaved girl, and that's already a recipe for disaster. Like Emmanuel was saying to us, in this day and age, especially, and it's becoming more and more and more obvious when women are doing a lot in the boardroom, you cannot restrict a woman's responsibility to the kitchen alone. You cannot say, I mean, we were just talking now, what if she never gets married? She can still be a successful woman in whatever career, in whatever area of life she chooses. And the same thing for a man. I mean, as young men, sometimes you get the opportunity to live on your own. If you've not been trained to survive on your own, then how do you cope when you now get to live on your own? And you hear some people, and this is the one that really, really turns me off. So when they see a man, for example, a young man, a bachelor that is cooking, they'll say, ah, please do and go and marry so that you will stop cooking. Hello? Where does it say that the woman must do the cooking? Where does it say that marriage is an opportunity to get a cook? So some of those mentalities need to change. It is not go and get married so that you stop cooking. No, yes, get a helper so that you are not doing it
Yeah.
alone. Because when you get married, you get a helper and you're not doing it alone. So we're not saying both of us put our hands together and do it better. And in both ways, if you are married to a woman and you're just seeing her as, oh, she just sits there, she's a girl or she's a woman, you don't discuss ideas with her, you don't talk to her about your business and all, you might be missing out on a very, very, very great part of your business or of your growth as a person. Because that woman might just have one or two ideas and one or two contributions that she can bring, into whatever business or whatever career you are doing. Okay, that's our lot for tonight. Apologies again, viewers, about the network. Emmanuel, do you have any last words before last words for this show? You're not your last words.
No, just to say, yeah, we're sorry about the technical issues we've had today,
Yeah.
but overall, hopefully, we've been able to share ideas that can help us better parent both our young children and grown adult children.
Yeah, thank you so much. So remember,
Thank
I'll
you.
just do a quick wrap up of what we've talked about, just for those in case you're just joining us, one, or the network issues turned you off and you were not able to get some of the things we're saying. We have said that discipline begins from when training begins from when they are young, build a relationship with your children, learn to negotiate with them, and then as they grow up, the way you treat them differs, changes. You don't start flogging a graduate or somebody of 24 years. In fact, 16, 18 years these days, you can't slap. Be careful, parents, because the child might just slap you back. And that is what the Bible means by do not provoke your children to wrath. At that point, you are the one provoking this child. If a child of 18 years, you're still threatening, no, I'm going to slap you, or you take a rod, it's too late. The Bible said train a child, not train an adult. Hello? Don't try to train an adult. Training is when they are children. Then when they grow, they become adults. They will stay with the training. That is what the Bible says. So don't quote, oh, spare the rod and spoil the child. Hello? Bible says child. Still remember the word there is what? Child, not an adult. So the way we relate with our adult children and parent them is to advise, is to pray, is to counsel, is to guide. And expect. One thing I like that we said today is that they will make mistakes. There are no perfect children anywhere, just as you as parents are not perfect. I know there's the tendency for us to want to protect our children. Oh, let them not make the same mistakes I made. We can only pray for them that they will not make costly mistakes. Like my dad preached one some years back. He said there are mistakes that are costly mistakes that live with us, throughout our lifetime. So we can only pray that they don't make such costly mistakes. However, children will make mistakes in the course of growing. Expect that they'll make mistakes. It doesn't mean that you have failed as a parent. Stop overburdening yourself. Stop giving yourself so much expectations. Oh, if my child is not married at 25, I failed as a parent. My daughter is 30, she has not brought the husband home, so I have failed as a parent. These are some of the psychological stress we give ourselves as parents. That's not your failure. As long as you have produced a successfully integrated, responsible adult. I am using the English that my co-host used today. A responsible a responsible adult that can be integrated into the society and that can make good choices, then you can say you are a successful parent. And above all, please keep praying, keep guiding, train your boys, train your girls. Training is needed for both of them. Don't relegate anyone. In both ways, anyone can be anything. that God wants them to be. All right. We are closing. Our time is up. We've gone beyond the time because of our technical difficulties. I hope that we've been able to pick and learn a few things from this network today. Apologies, Mama and Papa, for all of the network issues. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you for all the efforts that you've made. We know that where you are can be like that sometimes, and we appreciate your making the effort at all to keep coming back, when the thing goes off. Thank you so much for the wisdom. Hopefully, I know there's a lot with you that the world need to hear. So hopefully we can get you to come back again soon on a better network. And thanks to you, Dr. Emmanuel Osebo, for always being there for us as my co-host sitting in today. I don't take it for granted. Thank you so much. Thank you, viewers, those who have joined. Remember that at the end of the month, we're going to have our Q&A session. So keep your questions coming. It's first come, first serve. Whatever questions you have from the topics we have dealt with during the month, we'll answer the questions at the end of the month. Next week we're talking about love and career. Love and my career. You want to know how to balance your love life and your career and your work life and your ambitions, then join us next week. Until then, please stay blessed. Have a love-filled week, everyone. Thank you again, Elder and Pastor Honorable, for coming. God bless you. Thank you so much.